Is your scarcity mindset keeping your business from growing, your relationships from thriving, your peace of mind from showing up? Here's how to move from scarcity into abundance in every area. First, know this, that your subconscious mind has stored everything that happened to you before the age of 7. And what I mean by that is often we hear other people's beliefs about money or about success. And before the age of 7, we just take them on as our own. It can be a big hodgepodge of good, bad, and otherwise. And we often hear a lot of beliefs about scarcity. That there's not enough money, or there's not enough food sometimes, or there's just not enough of X, or you can't have what you want, or you can't be whatever you want, or, just accept what comes to you. When you take those ideas and those beliefs on before the age of 7, they just kind of settle in your mind and they come out later in life to really torment you, or at least that's what it can feel like. For me, I had a lot of beliefs about scarcity from growing up on a farm. And I grew up on a small family farm in southern Minnesota. And in many ways, I loved being on the farm, right? We had organic food, but we just called it food, right? We didn't consider it to be organic, but we had really healthy food. I was surrounded by animals, and we got to live a beautiful life outside a lot, taking care of animals. But there was also a harsh side to being on the farm, especially since it was in Minnesota and winter would come. When it's cold outside, it's really challenging to be running a farm. So growing up in a small family farm, we didn't have a lot of money. We had enough food, we had enough of those things, but there were a lot of limiting beliefs about money that I was surrounded by. And it wasn't like, people in my family were sharing those beliefs on purpose. It was just what had been handed to them, and it had been handed to me. And so when I look back on that, I know that I picked up a lot of limiting beliefs about there just never being enough money, and who was I to actually make a lot of money. So I took that scarcity mindset into the corporate world. It was such an eye-opening for me because I started to ask questions. And I started to ask, why not me? Like, why have I taken these beliefs on? Why can't I make a lot of money? And then I started to read a lot of books about other people who were born in a similar situation but went on to make a lot of money. And I started to think, well, maybe that's possible for me as well. I was hired as an outside sales rep, and I can remember my first salary was $24,000 a year, and it was like winning the lotto. It felt like more money than I could have ever imagined, and I was so excited about it. In addition to the $24,000, because I was an outside sales rep, I also received commission. As my manager said, based on my base salary and the commission, I could make as much as $50,000 a year or more, which seemed like an unbelievable amount of money. So slowly, I started to chip away at those beliefs, and I kept asking, why not me? Why shouldn't I make this much money? Pretty soon, I was promoted to take on the Colorado Springs branch. And when I was promoted, I remember my base salary was raised to $36,000 plus commission. And again, this felt like a substantial raise. Fast forward a year later, I'd grown that office to $1 million in annual revenue. And I was promoted again to take on the Southern California branch. And that branch had been purchased from someone else. And so we had some training. It was losing some money. It was also a great opportunity for me. And I'll never forget this because I was offered a base salary of $65,000 plus commission. And the first time in my life, I could see a six-figure income staring me in the face. As a 24-year-old, that was almost unbelievable. But along the way, I had to keep pulling away at the limiting beliefs that were popping up. The limiting beliefs, the imposter syndrome that said, who are you to make this much money? Who are you to be this person? And I kept asking, why not me? Why shouldn't I make this amount of money? I know what I want to do with it. I know I want to make a difference in the world. So I kept questioning those beliefs. And by the time I was 27 years old, I was president of a $20 million company. I was making a very high six-figure salary, and there were months I was receiving $50,000 bonus checks and more. And it was a little bit shocking to my system. It was exciting, but it was a little bit shocking because I knew I was making more money than a lot of people had made in my family. And there was part of me that felt a little bit guilty about that. And so that was my next level. I had to start working on the guilt. Why was I feeling guilty? Why did I have this feeling of like, if I'm successful, I'm leaving other people behind? And I started to pull that apart to see that it wasn't true. In fact, my family members were really happy for me. They were excited that I was doing well. They were excited that I was making it in the corporate world. And so those were the beliefs that I held on to. However, a few years later, that company was sold and I decided to start my own company. And let me tell you, moving from working for someone else to running your own company is a completely different experience. And it's a completely different experience when it comes to scarcity as well. Because suddenly I was solely responsible for the company. I was responsible for the sales, the marketing, the team, growing the company, operations, systems, and that all could be costly. And so as I stepped into this new role of owning my own company, immediately all those old beliefs started to come up and fear set in. Because the fear was, if you don't sell enough, you're not going to be able to pay your bills. The more that thought circulated around, the more these old scarcity beliefs started to come up. And luckily, I'm a seeker. So I went to find answers, and I thought there's got to be a way to let go of the scarcity mindset. There's got to be a way to let go of these old limiting beliefs. And that's when I was introduced to the world of NLP. And NLP is neuro-linguistic programming. I found the NLP Institute of California, and I decided to get certified as an NLP coach. And I can tell you that the most powerful training I received from there was around limiting beliefs, letting go of those scarcity beliefs and those beliefs that say you can't do something, there's not enough money, you weren't born in the right family, like all of those beliefs. And once I figured out how to shift a limiting belief and let it go, I realized that I was meant to do this work with other CEOs. I was meant to help other business owners let go of their limiting beliefs, let go of their scarcity mindset, so they could have that multi-6, 7, multi-7-figure business that they had been dreaming about. And after I learned that, I haven't looked back, because now this is what I do. My highest high is helping a business owner shift a limiting belief about money and go from 6 figures to multi-6 figures, multi-6 figures to 7 figures, 7 figures to multi-7 figures and beyond. When they can identify that limiting belief and let it go, on the other side of that is freedom. So as you're listening to this, you're probably wondering, how do I change a limiting belief? Well, I'd love to show you how. The first step to changing a limiting belief is to set a stretch goal for yourself. Set a stretch goal that scares you so much you have no idea how to achieve it. If it doesn't scare you, it's not big enough. Then write that goal down. And then underneath that goal, I want you to ask yourself, what's the story I'm telling myself about why I can't have that number, why I can't create that revenue? And write that limiting belief down. Underneath that limiting belief, ask yourself, what are 3 things that are potentially not true about this limiting belief? And underneath, write the 3 things that are potentially not true about it. As you start to write what's not true about it, the limiting belief starts to disintegrate. And then underneath that, I want you to write what you'd rather believe. And this is what I call an achieving belief. An achieving belief is what gives you inspiration and motivation to reach that goal that you've been dreaming of. One thing to know about writing an achieving belief is that I am, the 2 words, I am, are the most powerful words in the English language, because anything you say after I am, your subconscious mind believes. That means that when you say negative things to yourself, you think, I am blank, I am whatever, that's negative, your subconscious mind hears that as well. So this is an opportunity to let that go and use the power of I am by finishing that sentence with something powerful, such as, I am the owner of a multi-7-figure business and I only work 20 hours a week, or something like that. You choose the achieving belief, but write it down. And then write it down 20 times every morning for 30 days and watch what happens to you. Because you're still hanging out with me, I want to share a pro tip with you. If you want to supercharge your results, get a coach or a mentor who will hold your belief for you until you believe it too. This is what I found over the years, is that when I have a coach who believes in me and holds a belief for me until my belief catches up, I'm able to get to that next level with less effort, less fear, less doubt. It's one of the most powerful gifts you can give yourself. Today we talked about your scarcity mindset and whether or not it's keeping your business from growing and keeping relationships from thriving. We started by talking about the power of your subconscious mind, both in a positive way and a negative way, because everything that happened to you before the age of 7, your subconscious mind took on. And now those limiting beliefs that you might have taken on before might be getting in the way of your success. Remember that you can shift a belief in a moment. It doesn't have to happen over time. You simply set a big goal for yourself, ask yourself, what's the story I'm telling myself about it? What's not true about that story or that limiting belief? And then write a new achieving belief. Thanks for hanging out with me today. And if you enjoyed this video, stick with me, because next up, we're going to talk about the key to revenue growth. And remember, your 2X is waiting for you too.